Morning.
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 Good morning.
That's nice. That quiet.
You gotta do something.
Oh dear. Happy Sunday, guys. Thanks for coming on. Before we tell you about the events of yesterday, how's your bank holidays going?
You going, Josh?
Jump in.
I was going to say, I'll let you go first, Rob. I've been working it, so not a lot happening here.
Yeah, I've been DIYing in the garden actually most of the week. Yesterday was absolutely shocking. Raining just all day.
Wow. I'd have thought you'd have employed somebody to do that, Rob, but yours?
No, sometimes just want it done properly. Yeah, so I just finished off decking and stuff, and I've been doing that. So I haven't really done anything fishy this week, to be honest.
All right, okay.
So that's me wrapped up really.
And you worked, Josh?
I did, mate. Yeah, night shift last night, and I'm back in again tonight.
Well, you were doing lots of overtime though, weren't you, to earn some pennies so you can spend them with this guy?
Oh, that's nice. What a way to wake up.
Well, we entertained, I think we had 18 reefers in all get together at mine yesterday, and had the barbecue, had the reef meat 2-0 or Mark 2
Slash smash up.
Yes.
Slash carnage. Comes to mind, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and this guy stayed up till 3:30 this morning. So well, he stayed up even longer, but I decided 3:30 was my time for bed. Since I've been up since 6 o'clock yesterday, cutting onions up yesterday morning and frying garlic mushrooms that nobody even ate. So that was a waste of time.
I didn't know. They look good.
They're still on the heat now. They've gone on all.
I'm sure they look the same as they did yesterday.
The fox are coming over.
Yeah, wandering around the house for the last hour like a lost soul. But yeah, there was it was eventful, and thanks again to everybody that came yesterday. I hope you enjoyed it. It was good. It's quality. So if everybody doesn't know, I'm sure you do know the guy to my right, Christian from Signature Frags, has stayed up with us or stayed on this morning. Thanks for joining us, mate.
It's all right. So I'm allowed to sit over there.
I'll sit over there. Christian's going to obviously contribute, I should think, in terms of his thoughts and opinions on testing, which is today's topic. So before we get into that, and we talk about, I'll show you some of the footage from yesterday, which is quite entertaining. Let's have a look at who's joined us this morning. So 22 of us have joined in this morning. Thanks again for coming on. Lee is the first one. Morning, buddy. So we know you got home all right. In fact, he rang me, actually. I do remember him ringing us to tell us that Tim had been sick in his car.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I was in bed, buddy. It's your fault.
No,
because you were playing with Malibu.
His wife might be watching.
You have to go all the way down to Arlo to get you, mate, and shit. Anyway,
Sorry, Tim.
Thanks, Lee. Cottage Reef.
Sorry, Tim. You're well repaid. Sorry, Tim.
Morning, Cotty. Thanks for joining us, mate. Morning, Cotty. Morning, John. Thanks for coming, John. The guy with the nice coloured shirt.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, John.
Yeah, really nice to meet you, John.
Man is.
Who else we've got in the house? Let's have a look. We've got Liam, Gills. Good morning, gents. Nice to meet some of you yesterday. Fantastic day. Massive
Good morning, sir.
No, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome. Rennie's Reef. Morning, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Gaza. Morning. Thanks for coming yesterday, Gaz.
Why is he laughing? Morning. Morning, Liam. Yes, I stayed.
Yeah, he stayed. He stayed in the bar. Dave, morning, David. UK 120. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Rama, morning, mate. Thank you. Jay, good morning, sir. Hope you're well. Hope your tank's getting gradually better, mate.
Thanks for joining us. Don't have too high expectations for this, Jay. Looking forward to it, but
it's a trial run for you and him.
Trial run for you. Good practice for you, actually. Yeah. So we'll talk about testing then. So I've not got anything in terms of plans for the lineup in terms of what we talk about. Do you want to go around the table in terms of what we all test on our tanks personally before we start to discuss why and how? And how? Yeah. Any volunteers?
Come on, Rob.
Rob. Trident. So obviously everything I do those three, the calcium and out. So my Trident with that. And then probably weekly I would do just phosphates, nitrates, and I think about every 3 months I do ammonia and nitrite as well.
All right, okay.
That's interesting. Why would you expect to see ammonia and nitrite? Well, hopefully, see it, but why do you
I'm not open to see it. I don't know. I just got into the habit of testing it just to check that those parameters were where I want them to be. Because the thing is, after you set your tank up, you never do it, do you? Well, I'm pretty sure most people never.
Because you're heavy on the fish. Is that because you're heavy on the fish? You do it?
Well, it's quite a heavy fish load, and I was doing it as I was introducing fish, and it's just something I've kept up with, really. So, I mean, it's one of them weird things. It always comes back negative, or where I want it to be, but I don't know. I'm into the habit of doing it, so I do it. Yeah, and then probably every quarter or so, I'll send off an ICP. I think that's it. I don't think I'll do anything else. Obviously, salinity, obviously. Phosphate.
Yeah.
Probably twice a week. Just with a Hannah egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my salinity is the same, twice, probably even more actually. I probably do my salinity 3 times a week. Just because I do calc and I do 100% of my evaporation. I just want to make sure that, because I have to adjust obviously throughout the year the amount of calc I'm putting in because it's all of my RO. So, in the winter, obviously, it goes down by about 10 litres a day. So I just have to make sure I'm on the salinity, keep it on point. And I obviously, probably once a month, I will check the Trident parameters with like just salivate test kits or something.
Wow, okay.
Because it's easy just to get lazy and go, the Trident's bang on, but they do drift.
Do you calibrate the Trident?
Of course I do. Calibrate every day, Tom.
No,
I do. Yeah, I calibrate it probably 6 weeks to 2 months. Yeah.
You're a pig to calibrate. I mean, do you have to do it again and again to make sure it's right, or is it first time? Yeah, that'll do.
It's first time for me. Yeah, I'm not obsessed with them being absolutely bang on. I just, I want them on trend, really, more than. I don't give a shit if it's 10 points out or something on, calcium or whatever. But I mean, I've got to be fair with the Trident. I buy the ABC reagents from the States, so I just mix up a massive batch. So that I've been using that same batch for over a year.
Where did you get them from? You've just took words out of my mouth. So we need your link. We need your link for that, please, Robert.
Yeah,
so he's got ABC reagents. He's got a website, and just go on and buy them, and they ship them over.
How long do they take to come, Rob? Because I'm going home today with a Trident that I've got.
I'd say off the top of my head, probably a week.
Right.
Dessert.
This geezer. Let's have a look. I'll just present it to people. So
Jonas is the guy who runs it.
This one, or have I got the wrong one?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that it? Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So he does a bulk one, which he makes up 5 litres of mag, 5 litres of calcium, and 10 litres of the alkalinity.
Right.
And you just top it up. And
what's that look like in terms of comparison to the UK, the Neptune ones in terms of pricing? Where are we? A big saving or just a bit?
Yeah, it's massive. I think I've worked it out. It saved me about £1,200.
What?
Yeah.
Gosh, you can buy another.
It's a massive saving. That's why I did it. I mean, to be fair, the reason I actually did it is because I don't know when it was, but there was a period of time when you couldn't get the reagents. They didn't ship any, and all the shops run out, and there was no reagents. And I was just like, it's got to be something. And then I come across this guy. So, I've been using them ever since, really. I've never had any problems with it. It's, it gives me good results.
Apparently, they're better than the originals.
Don't tuck away, like when you get the Neptune stuff, it always says throw away the excess in the bottom and refill it. With that, you just literally just top it up.
Wow.
So the guy who makes it, he does chemical analysis for a living, right? So he was
he knows his stuff. Yeah,
exactly what was in it. So he's better than. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's better for the guys who actually developed the first one. So
it's good. I mean, I've just got 5-litre containers of it, in a cupboard. Don't have to store it under any special conditions or anything. And like I say, I've been probably using it for a year at least, if not longer. And I'm just coming to the bottom of my first 5 litres of alkalinity. So I've got another 5 litres to go. So it's going to last me at least another year. And I think the whole thing was like,
that's a massive
£3,500 or something.
How many times do you test in a week on those then? So just back to your parameters a minute. So what you set the Trident to do on a test? How often?
Well, the Trident does the ALK 4 times a day, does every 6 hours, and it does the calc and the magnesium twice over 12 hours. You can change it if you want. You can up it. It's quite easy to up it, but if you want to make it less, you have to go in and reprogram it yourself. It's not as easy. But I've just left it on the set, as it comes, bog standard.
Wow.
Nice bit of information, that was. Thanks for that.
So you do the phosphate week out. You do salinity probably, you said, 6 times a week, phosphate twice a week, and the nitrite every, month, would you say, or a bit more often than that?
No, the ammonia and the nitrite, no, that's probably every 2 to 3 months.
All right, okay. Every quarter. Right, okay.
Yeah, quarterly, so yeah.
Okay, anything else then? Mag, anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else. No, I think that's it.
Josh?
In terms of I've got the Profalox that's constantly monitoring it, but at the minute it's only the basic parameters on that, so salinity, temperature, and pH. The pH and salinity probes get calibrated once a month. Well, I say calibrated. We talked about this, I think, the other week. I'll dip the probes into the solutions, leave them in there for 30 seconds or so, and allow the reading to adjust. And if the reading is pretty much exactly what the calibration fluid is, I won't bother calibrating again, because I know I'm a good value. So they're constantly monitoring for me. Ideally, I'd like to go into.
This is GHL that you use, yeah? Just for people who might not have heard of it.
Yeah, so I've not got the dosing pumps that are there. It's just the controller bit at the top there, and there's a number of probes that I'll plug into the back. Ideally, I wouldn't mind adding the KH Director 1 onto it, which includes those pumps, just to monitor the alkalinity, because the modern reef I'm running, I believe, if you're testing your alkalinity, you shouldn't have to test anything else. It's either the alkalinity or the calcium, one or the other. You have to test one or the other, and you shouldn't have to because of the balance set. But it's something I do anyway. I'll test all 3 every week anyway, just purely out of habit, because I don't think there's never going to be any harm in testing. I've done the basic 3 are all done with Salifert test kits, and I know that the reading I get might not be accurate. It might not be. So let's say, I don't know, the alkalinity is coming back at 8.4. The reality is it could be 8, but I know that because I track it on an app, I know that if that number stays at 8.4 for weeks on end, I know I've got stability. I'm not concerned as such that things are going all over. I'm not concerned that necessarily the number might be bang on accurate. I'm more looking for the stability in an acceptable range. And like Rob was saying, if the numbers start to swing around a little bit, so let's say I'm at 450 calcium one week and then the next week I'm at 440, I'm not going to panic and think I need to adjust that, because it could have been a case of the pH have been lower for the week because we've been in the flat more. And so the uptake mightn't have been as good. So I won't panic, because then the chances are, if we're out then a lot the next week, that pH increases, we might have a greater uptake, and the number will go back to where it needs to be. So I won't make a rash judgment. It's only when it falls below sort of my acceptable range. I'm I think 430 to 450. If it goes below 430, I'll make an adjustment. I'll add a little bit more in. Vice versa, if for some reason something's gone wrong in the tank, I'll have a little look to see if something, what's causing potentially a slowing growth. And if the number starts to rise, I'll just adjust it accordingly. But it's not something I massively panic about. I know Christian's very big on stability, and regardless what you're doing, stability is the thing to be focusing on. And I totally agree with it. It's the most sensible way to do it. The only thing I don't use a Salifert test kit for is the phosphates. I'll use the phosphorus ULR rather than the phosphate one. I use the phosphorus ones. I believe it's supposed to be a little bit more accurate. And then I'll just use the conversion chart. But other than that, everything's just a weekly test. I'm trying not to overcomplicate it. I've been known to try and push too far into it. I think Christian's had plenty of messages off me asking pointless questions, but it's one of those things.
It's all right. No question stupid, as I say. You need to right. See, I hate the hammer testers, especially for the phosphate and the phosphorus, because I've always found that they're not repeatable tests.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And what I want, so we'll go back to what you said earlier, Josh. You want to find a trend, right? Trend is stability. You can't get that trend from your tested apparatus. What's the point of using it, in my mind? So I like the Red Sea Pro titration kit.
Yeah,
really easy to read, cheap enough. Takes 15 minutes to do it. Well, you have to leave it to mature for 15 minutes. Takes 30 seconds. Fantastic, repeatable test, and it matches ICP every time.
Right, I like the NAS one. The manual one I use NAS one.
Yeah.
Everyone said, I remember when the Hannahs started gaining popularity, and people were saying, "Oh, that they're really quick to do." And I just thought, I watched people do the alkalinity one. I thought, I can do the Salifert alkalinity test about 5 times faster than that. I can do it inside a minute. Yeah. You know, I've not got to sit there and wait for it to tick down a timer. I've not got to shake up reagents for ages. It's 5 seconds of shaking a reagent, dripping the titration part, and you get your result in seconds. But I could if I was just using the Salifert kits, I reckon I'd finish my testing inside 20 minutes. It's only that I use the phosphorus one because the Salifert phosphorus isn't very easy to read.
Yeah, it's hard to read, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the only reason I went for it. And I'm sure it might have been BRS did the testing. It was either them or somebody else tested the phosphate ULR versus the phosphorus ULR. And in general, I think they found the phosphorus one to be more accurate. So I just went with that one. Just printed off the conversion chart, and I just use that every week. As long as I know I'm in a low enough range, I don't want to be going over sort of 0.08, and anywhere between 0.02 0.08. I'm staying in there. I'm happy. It's low enough. It's not too high. So, and it's not bottomed out.
They had a phosphate parts per million, isn't it? And the phosphorus is parts per billion. That's why. That's the difference. I'm sure it is.
I couldn't honestly remember, mate, off the top of my head.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it is. Yeah. Okay. So just to recap, sorry. So what about nutrients then? How often are you testing these? Did you say
weekly again? Everything's weekly. Yeah. Do the water change. Wait 24 hours. Do the water test. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. If it's not, adjust the dosing. If I've overfed potentially, then I'll just cut that back. And I use the Tropic Marin NP ranges. So I've got the Elimi NP backdoor balance and the other one, I think it's plus NP. So I've got the 3 of those. So depending on where my nutrients are going, I'll change between those as a carbon source. If they're too low, I'll use the plus. If they're too high, I use the Elimi. And if I'm in range that they say is acceptable, I'll use the balance.
The Elimi that you're using the lanthanum?
No.
It's not. All right. Okay. I'm getting it wrong then, aren't I?
Do you test after you dose that, Josh? So do you test your, like you say, beginning dose that you need to alter with one of those 3 methods? Do you give that time to settle in and then kind of test again and see where you're at? Or do you wait till the next week?
Yeah. It'll just be the next week. Yeah. I'm not overly panicked that I don't think, well, from what I've been doing that, I've been using those for about a year and a half now, and I've never had the numbers swing around that wildly that I'm overly concerned that it's going to completely drop it out. So if I put the Elimi in, it's usually because I'm over like 0.1 phosphates and I might be over like 20 nitrates. I know that within a week, the reality is I'm not going to bottom them out in that time. Just because of the volumes I'm dosing and the amount of things that are going into the tank, I know that it's not going to bottom it out. I might end up halving the amount that's in there, but I'm still not going to bottom it out. And then by the time I do the next test, if I'm within range of using the balance, I'll just switch to the balance again.
I thought Elimi, is that not Lanthanum? Elimi?
I thought it was.
Lanthanum.
I thought it was Lanthanum.
Or is it a new one?
I believe it was just carbon sources. And it's like, whereas the plus MP's got a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus in it, so that when you're carbon dosing, it's going to raise them up. The MP Bacto, I think, has a small amount.
A carbon dose, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it has a small amount.
I can't remember. They've got so many products.
They do,
I thought the Elimi, whatever it is, I thought that was Lanthanum.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Well, there's a rapid one, isn't there? Which is the Lanthanum. Yeah. Maybe it's the rapid. And there's another one, which is obviously maybe different.
Yeah. So
you're not using a rapid one.
So you got the alcohols is the only ingredient it says it has in it for the Elimi.
Yeah, it must be the rapid.
There's no
Lanthanum. Rapid or something. Yeah.
So the Profilux that you've got, so you've got the automation again for your alkalinity then?
Yeah. No, not for the alkalinity. Not for the alkalinity. That's something I would like to have because it would I wouldn't take it as gospel. I would use it as a rough guide, and then if the numbers started to sway, do a manual test. If the numbers on the manual test are right, I'll look to recalibrate. If things are stable, again, I'd still do the weekly tests, but it just gives me a better idea of where things are trending throughout the day. So potentially I could adjust the dosing to allow it to be more stable throughout the day. Do you think like people dosing calc at night to eliminate the pH drop to get a more flat line rather than like large peaks and troughs? Same I would try and do with the alkalinity. But if I've not got it, I've not got it. I'm not overly concerned. It's just a nice to have. It's not an essential. So you get by perfectly fine.
Once a week. Sorry.
Say again, sorry.
Once a week on alkalinity.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I don't find that I have massive swings in that time. I might get, let's say I've been at 8.2. I think the biggest swing I might ever see across a week. I'll try and test at the same time every week, the same time of day, because obviously it's going to change throughout the day. So I'll try and test around 4 o'clock in an afternoon. And I think the biggest drop I've ever seen in a week, maybe about 0.4. So I'll go down to like 7.8. And then I'll just adjust the dosing by a mil or two, and let it bring itself back up again very slowly.
Well, okay.
There's not a lot of there's not a ton of coral in there for water volume yet. There's still a lot of sticks because there's been a little bit of let's say lack of care gone in over the last few months. So there's not a massive amount of growth in that it's swinging too much. So I think when eventually the coral mass fills out,
change or not?
I don't measure before the water change. So the parameters I'm trying to run are fairly close to the salt I'm using. So I'd expect them to try and maintain. Yeah, I don't see the point in trying to maintain a high alkalinity if you're using a low alkalinity salt or anything. You might as well just run at whatever the salt is, because it should be around a value that's safe. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Mr. Dritt, what do you test and how often?
I kind of feel like I'm reading out my own work in front of the master with Christian being here. Do you know what I mean?
Carry on.
I have to be honest. You went to school? I did go to school, enough,
yeah, be honest.
Yeah, they'll be over the moon with how I turned out. Salinity is probably, I would say, if it's not every day, it's every other day. And that is one of the greatest bits of kit I've ever bought, and people might disagree, is the Milwaukee digital salinity.
I use it.
Oh, mate.
Mine's in the bin. I launched it straight in the bin.
I love that.
A decent one. Easy.
Which normally is bang on. I don't really see any swings in that. It's funny because without being like a mentality, I've nudged away from Hannah for the last, I would say, 2 or 3 months. I've gone away from, other than the phosphorus ULR, funnily enough, that's the only thing I still use. Hannah Port, yeah. Everything else is pretty much Sanifert, to be honest. And like Christian said, I would do 2 tests back to back on Hannah always. Very rarely would I get the same result. Sometimes I would get something that's nowhere near the first one, and so just made a decision to start going back to the manual and trusting that more than the technology side of things. I'm really phosphate. I normally do it probably twice a week on a Monday and a Thursday, but I never really see too many changes in that because I've been running the Zeo now for quite a while, so the phosphate never really fluctuates anywhere worrying. I'll be inside 0.04 to 0.08 pretty much all of the time. It might go up. I'll come here on Thursday, so it will probably have raised a little bit because I've been dosing a lot of pellets, small pellets to my tank.
Because you got a new fish.
Because of the new fish, yeah. So, and it's absolutely tiny. So, I mean, it's mouse struggle to get some of the pellets in, and they are the proper small grade reef nutrition pellets. So I'm expecting a slight rise in phosphate to what it normally was. The last time I tested on the Monday was about 0.05. I'm expecting that to creep up. Nitrate on Monday was, if I can remember, about 6.
Nice, good numbers though.
Yeah, I don't really alkalinity at the moment. So I've just moved over to the balling method. Look at me. I don't like that way your head come round from Tom's shoulder there.
From what? From what?
I was doing Elements 2-part, and if I have to be honest, yes, I'll
Fantastic product.
Never be going back on that.
Fantastic product.
Yeah, so alkalinity at the moment is about 7.4. And if I can keep it around 7.5, I'll be happy with that. So
how often did you test the alkalinity?
Monday, Thursday.
You use what, Salifert?
What was I using? It was either a Salifert or I had, what did you give me? Did you give me a Nios?
Yeah.
It's one of the two. I can't quite remember. But it was manual anyway.
Test.
Yeah, it was manual. Yeah. Right. I just get more peace of mind, and I walk away from that test believing it rather than, some of my. To give you an example, some of my Hannah nitrate was one day it was 6, the next day it was 14. And they're back-to-back testing, and it just can't be right. Do you know what I mean? So I don't walk away. I can't settle for the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean? Because now I actually don't know what it is. So I just went back. Yeah, just went back to manual, mate, and I do 2 manual tests back-to-back. And shock horror, they were always bang on exactly the same. Any other questions, Thomas?
No. Thank you for answering that.
Pleasure.
What do you do in the farm then? Interestingly enough, how often do you test?
How long you got?
Yeah, come on. What do you test and why?
So the main test for me is alkalinity and phosphate. So alkalinity is done automated, and that's on the Alkatronics.
Right.
So we've got an Alkatronic on every system. Try to calibrate that as and when, maybe every 6 months. You find with the Alkatronic there was as one of the calibration drifts, so do all the others, and you seem to get a right result. So it might be dosed more of the liquid, more of the reagent, and the pH might be off, but it'll give you the right reading.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is weird.
That's weird.
But I'll just roll with it. It's happy because they can be a bit of a pig to calibrate. So they're testing on the SPS system every hour.
Wow.
LPS every 2 hours. The thing is, though, I can have a substantial drop a day. So the demand in the system, say you get into the afternoon about 1, 2, 3 o'clock, you drop in 0.3, 0.4 DKH an hour.
Is that because of your peak lies?
That's just where their peak calcification, if you like, peak consumption. So I have to make sure that I'm testing like that because it can alter, especially if you've gone through like stress events or any sort of swings and the corals are recovering. Wow. And you're watching that kind of consumption increase again. So, which is what I've seen while I was here this week. So alkalinity, very important, obviously. pH, I like to keep it above 8 if possible. I have a massive swing every day on it, about 0.4 or 0.5 diurenal, which I'd love to reduce with calc, but I dose calc at night. It doesn't seem to reduce it any further. And then the phosphates, I test maybe 3 or 4 times. And the phosphates are so dynamic. I think people realize just how dynamic they are. Things like feeding your tank at the same time of day is important for your phosphates, I feel.
All right.
Yeah, things you add to your tank are going to metabolize phosphates. So if you put like phytoin in the morning, there's no point testing phosphates right after that because it's going to be taken out of the water, right? So 3 or 4 times a week on phosphate. I like to keep it around 0.06 if possible. Josh, I was a bit scared with your 0.02 to 0.1. It's a massive range of bouncing around, and that's going to impact calcification in different ways.
Yeah, see, the 0.1's too high for me. If I was 0.2 to 0.8, but again, I do agree it's a 0.6 swing, isn't it? It's a big amount.
The phosphate, yeah, because that change has such a massive impact on everything else that's happening in the tank consumption wise, right? So for me, phosphate's really crucial to keep it stable. Nitrates maybe once a week, aim for 5 to 10 on nitrate, and then calcium and mag maybe once a month. Just to make sure that it's dosing right. Generally, it's not something I'm too concerned about. As long as you've got the calibration on the doses and, you've got the same amount of dosing solutions left, you should be okay. That's it, really. The phosphate and alkalinity, the most important, I'd say, for SPS. Yeah.
Ironically, they're the 2 I do test, fortunately.
So of course they are. Yeah.
Teacher's pets joined.
Yeah.
No.
He actually gave him an apple earlier. No one saw that off camera, but he did. Woke him up.
I'll just leave it there then. Right, anyway. I use the anaphosphorus checker for the phosphate. I do that probably every other day. And because I feed the fish quite heavy, to be fair.
Quite heavy.
Yeah.
Quite heavy.
He's quite heavy. And
he's better than the Queen.
I am doing the alkalinity daily at the minute. I don't normally do it daily, Josh. Normally do it probably, I'd say, twice a week with the Salifert. I use the Salifert alkalinity one because that's the one that works for me. Old school, I think, on that one. But I am going to get to the point where I'm using the Trident, which
it's funny. I've moved away from automatic on quite a few things. Then
I think I get what you're saying about the speed, Josh, but for me, it's more about the accuracy. You know, I don't care if it takes me 10, 20 minutes to do it. If I leave that test knowing that it's absolutely there or thereabouts, I'm a lot more happier than having tests all over the place.
Well, how many nitrate tests have you wasted where you've gone away for 7 minutes, come back, and the reading's gone?
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to jump into
the reading's only on the screen for what, a couple of seconds, isn't it? And then it's gone, and you think, well, I have to do that again now. So it's frustrating.
Yeah,
I mean, people have used Salifert test kits for what, decades, and you know, you've seen some fantastic tanks tested off them. So I do agree that accuracy is more important than speed, but that's the quickest test I know. And as far as I'm aware, there's been, you know, thousands upon thousands of reefers have used it successfully. So there must be some faith there in it.
Let's be honest, Josh, as well. The money you save.
Yeah, true. Does add up. Yeah. Does add up.
Spend more money at Signature.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly so.
I'm going to jump into the comments for a minute to say hello to a few more people that have made the effort to join us. So thank you very much. Refondo, morning lads. Is that Ron? Is that Ron? Rob?
Yes, from Eden Corals in Scotland. Yeah.
Right, as in
who's in a name, mate?
Rob. As in RAF.
Yes.
I'll use the phrase RAF because it's 10:30 in the morning. I don't mean the flying squadron. I mean the chap up. Yeah. Morning, Ron. Thanks for joining us, mate. Cracking tank, by the way.
Morning,
I watched it the other day on your YouTube channel.
He was singing your praises yesterday.
Yeah, so really nice tank, mate. Really nice tank. Morning, Paul. Thanks for coming yesterday. It was nice of you to join us at the reef meet.
Nice to see you and Jill yesterday.
Nice to see Jill yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Anybody else jumped in? Right. No, go through the comments in a minute. So we've got a couple of comments in here. Are you all right with me putting that one on?
Yes, sir.
Yes. It seems like you stuck at the side of it. So Jay's saying, excited for the autumn website update, mate. How's it going? Hope it's all going well.
You know what? I am so excited too. Big build-up. Yeah, so
Yeah.
recovered from a big swing and a big bleaching event. Again, through me messing up. But the acros are starting to, well, they're looking good. Yeah, so I'm really excited about some that we're launching next week.
You're launching them next week, sorry. Next week?
Next week was what is this? You know, the target. That's what we're going for. Hopefully Friday. Nobody put any crazy sales on and destroy my business, you bastards.
You have to get that in there.
I had to get that in because I'm sick of it every month. And we've got a load of lovely luscious LPS coming up as well. So the first time we've gone heavy on LPS, quite a while. Upgraded lighting on the tank. Everything's looking pucker. So get ready for that, you little wobbly coral lovers. Yeah, so I'm excited. So next Friday, 8 p.m. WhatsApp me and I'll get you some preview pictures if you like.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, that's good. Anything in particular that for the LPS lovers? Anything different that you've not showcased before?
We've got some new release on the gonnies, mate. There's some, there's like a dirty rainbow, which is like a speckled rainbow gonny, stem and lash. That's really pretty. We've got like a yellow and pink one.
Nice.
Rainbow. Again, very nice.
Jay's currently dribbling.
Yeah, it's nice. Jay, I've got a nice little gonny care package for you, mate. So,
there you go, Jay. You heard it from the man himself.
Back on the horse.
Just come and see me, sir.
Yes.
And we'll get you hooked up once you're happy with your tank. Space Invaders back. We've got loads of Favias come in, like loads of Cephastreas, just loads of crazy Encrusters. I think I counted almost 260 different Favia frags.
Wow, really? Wow.
Yeah, well, not all different, but like,
260
Favias.
So enough for everybody to have one then.
Exactly, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Easy and colourful Encrusters. So, I'm excited. I hope you are too. So please join us.
Josh, have you got anything in mind that you're
any room in there, Josh?
Purchasing off him on Friday?
I don't know what's going to be on the release. If there was some nice acros in there, I'd imagine I'd probably be tempted to get a few. I think I said to these lads before a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to be adding a little bit more to the scape to try and balance it out. But when we did the reef, like the inspirational reefers last week, I said about Reef Jules, and his tank, which is the same dimensions as mine. After I saw the way he set his scape out, I just sort of thought it looked more natural, it looks more balanced. So I'm going to be adding a little bit extra in for a sort of acro only higher up section, which will give a little bit better flow to them. A little bit, well, not all of them need stronger light at the end of the day, but they'll get less shading, and I'll move the easier stuff down to the bottom. And anything I'm not overly pleased with, I'll move on, and hopefully create a little bit of room. So there might be one or two bits that I might be able to add to it, but until I see the previews, I'll hold my tongue and make a decision after them.
Nice.
Are you not on our broadcast, Josh? If you're not, I'll add you to your number. Yeah, so
it was the WhatsApp one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'll get a picture of every acro out on that broadcast, so everyone gets a chance to see it.
Very nice.
Sounds good.
You have media visibility to know, so I don't just destroy your gallery and your phone because
I don't know if my bank balance needs you right now. To be honest.
I don't know how you dare. I rang you the other day at AAC, and it's the most expensive phone call I've ever made.
You can't. No.
You can't.
I can't say no. It's got a coral in front of it.
You can't buy this car. It's beautiful.
So, Tim last night. Just couldn't say no.
Well, we're talking about Tim, and he's not in the comments. So I hope he's alive. I've got to share. So, bit of morning entertainment.
Mate, it's brilliant.
Oh, I don't know how I can.
Do you know which video this is?
I'm trying to get
the. Not safe for kids, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Put that on. Yes. Hang on a minute. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Play it. Yeah, he was enjoying himself last night. Timothy was.
Bless him.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sure he's got a sore head this morning, but yeah, it was entertaining for us anyway. Probably not for him, for his wife when he got home. Anyway, sorry. Back to
bandits threw up his motor.
Yeah, he did. He did. Right, what else?
Liam, go and see Lee today. He needs your assistance.
Yes. Right, I'm going to run a quick poll. So we're going to start with a very basic. I know it's generic. Just curious to know how often other people are testing the water. We'll break it down in terms of which actual tests later on. But if we just start with that one for now. So if you could give us a vote, be interesting to see what everybody else does with their test, or how often should I say. So look, I'm saying morning to you. That's Jonas is a legend. That's the guy with the reagents I think he's talking about.
Yeah.
The live stream done. So yeah, Reef Dog did a live stream. I wanted to check that out. He explains it all on there.
Who did?
Reef Dog. Yeah, good stream on him. Who else we got? Let's have a look. Liam, nice to meet Paul and Jill yesterday. Yeah, it was good. No, you're more than welcome. It was great. I've got enough beer and soft drinks to do another one, so might have to throw another one soon. So look.
You can get them. Do you know what, Christian? It's funny. I was going to ask you this the other day. You can get these machines that test a load of different trace elements automatedly as well, can't you? I haven't thought about that.
I have, but I don't know if they're there in terms of accuracy yet.
Right.
I know, like the PHL did the ion detector.
Yeah.
It's there. You've got the new one from Neptune that tests phosphate, nitrate. Again, I don't think it's there yet.
Right.
So there's all these tests that are supposed to do it. Maybe ReefBot, I think, is.
ReefBot, that's it. Yeah.
That's the old school one, and then they did the Mastertronic Part 2. Got to be honest, it's so easy just to do a titration kit. What's the point of spending thousands of pounds when it's 40?
That's all the prestige, isn't it?
And then about 15 minutes. Yeah,
sure
easy. Yeah, he's got one, is he?
I think he has. Morning Critical, thanks for joining us, mate. Hope you're having a good bank holiday, mate. Dave, thanks for jumping in. He's in Bulgaria. Enjoy, mate. I hope you're having a good time.
It's supposed to be beautiful.
Have a good bank holiday, mate. Let's have a look. So, what else we got?
Someone's asking how to.
We
lost it now.
Oh, there we go. What do you recommend, Christian, to maintain phosphate?
Okay, so maintaining it, I need to keep it up I'm guessing this is what you mean. So either you can use monosodium phosphate or trisodium phosphate. I recommend you mix that yourself, because if you buy a bottle with a fish on the front of it, you know it's going to cost you a fortune. 5 kilo of this ingredient for about 35 quid. That'll last most reefers.
How am I spelling it?
Say monosodium phosphate, APC pure.
What, have you never used it before, Tom? What?
No, I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not.
Right.
Yeah, monosodium phosphate is pretty good. Again, it's super strong. So I think when I mix it, I use maybe 85 grams per 5 litres. No, it might even be less than that. But it makes the solution so saturated. And I'm bearing in mind, I'm dosing that to almost like a 3,000 litre SBS system. Like 10 mil a day will get me to where I want to go. I've got a lot of consumption from the corals. Sodium phosphate will do it as well.
So that'll do it as well.
That'll
just
do it
put
as
this
well.
on the screen for them because they're asking
That was
us.
quite expensive, that one. But trisodium phosphate, monosodium phosphates are pretty good.
So over the years, you've become a chemist as well as a coral farmer.
I think naturally you have to become a bit of a chemist. Not that I'm trained in chemistry at all, other than GCSE. But yeah, you know, it's going to save you a fortune buying stuff like this.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Why not?
And because the only thing with that, obviously, as opposed to the one with, like you say, with the fish on the bottle, which we all know is pretty much that rebranded or diluted, whatever. How would you advise somebody going in terms of dosing it? Because naturally, the one with the fish on it's going to say put blah 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 for blah 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 litre of water. How would you recommend they approach it with that?
So Randy Ames Farley's put out a few recipes. There's other recipes for like the different sodiums, the different phosphates you can use. Just you can mix it to your tank, so you can put the literage of your tank in, and you can give yourself like a target phosphate reading. Generally, I'd start from 0 to your target phosphate reading,
right?
Or maybe a 0.01 through whatever mil addition, if that makes sense, and just mix it to that recipe. Do a trial dose and see how accurate it is. But it's nothing to be scared of. If you dose it kind of weaker and dose it on the light side, you're not going to ruin anything. So that's one way of managing phosphates. The other way, of course, is kind of leaning into manage your biome and the ratio of your different biome families more, and kind of maintaining that health, right? So you don't get any kind of pathogen building in and things like that.
Okay.
So another way of doing that would be like incorporating carbon dosing.
Yeah.
Obviously that's going to reduce, but like then you've got to feed more in respect to allow you to give that carbon dose, right? So that's another way. So that'd be more natural foods.
Yeah.
So a mixed varied diet. Another one, if it's really low, say like the old school one is like if your phosphates are high, feed Benepets. If they're low, feed Reefroids.
I never knew that.
Yeah, because Reefroids is going to raise your phosphate, right?
Right.
So Benepets is a probiotic, so it's got bacteria in it, which kind of erase the effect of feeding. Okay, so probiotic bacteria. There's a product from Fauna Marin, like Tropic Marin as well. They've got like Reef Active. Fauna Marin got Coral Balance. If you mix those with Reefroids, you can make Benepets.
Wow.
Basically,
wow, really?
Yeah,
wow,
so you can make your own kind of probiotic coral food. That's another way. Obviously you can use it with feeding dead phyto or live phyto. If you feed dead phyto, you're going to increase your phosphate. It's going to increase your organics as well. So it's probably not the one I'd advise.
Yeah.
If you feed live
Get more
phyto,
fish.
More fish, yeah. Good answer.
That's it.
Yeah, get more fish. But that's around and buy some more fish. If you've got any questions for Christian while he's on, and thanks again for joining, mate. I know you could have drove down to the shop and looked at some lovely sticks this morning, but instead you're spending it with us 2 Buttes. But yeah, if you've got any questions for Christian, please do drop them in. I know we talked about testing, but it is an opportunity to get him on the live stream this morning after the barbecue, so it was good to get him on. Right, so I'm going to finish that poll now, and we'll break it down in a little bit in terms of what we're actually testing. But 73% of people are testing it 0 to 2 times a week, their water. Yeah. Okay.
I think we need to break that down a bit. Testing what? Because that's
we are going to break it down.
You want a good reef? Just test your tank. The only thing that's going to happen as a result of you testing is understanding if your numbers where it should be, which is the assumption. Oh, I'm not going to test because it never changes, or you're wrong and it has changed, and that creates an action. And that action that it's created, once you've completed that action, it's going to make your tank better. So test your tank. It's the easiest way to success.
I'll tell you what, Christian. A big thing I've found in the last 6 months that wasn't in the last in the first 18 months or 2 years that I've been around, even though obviously amongst reefers it will be, but trace element seems to be a huge thing with it. I would say in the last 6 months it's become quite prevalent. So with your trace elements, do you do anything specifically? Do you add anything specifically?
Yeah, so there's a few that I'd add every day. I lean on some of my halogens, I lean on some of my metals every day for various different reasons because it's a high consumption of them.
Yeah.
So vanadium,
right,
molybdenum.
Molybdenum.
Shows how hungover I am, right? There's manganese, nickel, zinc, pretty good. Fluorine, I add a lot of fluorine, which is annoying because it's expensive. So I'm going to make the end of that as well. They're much cheaper. So I think trace elements. Jake Adams did a lot on this before it passed, unfortunately. Where his view on it was looking at trace elements like food. So you do an ICP and it'll come back. You can either do like a chemist, right, or mad scientist, and want to fix your water every time you do an ICP, or you can know that you're adding a trace, so it's there. Just add a little bit, a bit like a food. Don't overdose it. Get used to the way the amount that you dose your tank. And I feel like if it's there in the water, the corals will take it up. I don't think that it's super important to keep them super stable all the time or aim for that.
Yeah.
But if you've got things which are metabolized or consumed pretty quick in the tank, then you don't be afraid to add them a small amount daily, even if you're just guessing it. But obviously, if you're going to do that, err on the side of caution, do it low, ICP more, just make sure that you're in the right kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. I do the tropic marinating K, and I dose 30 mil a day. But my ICPs always say they're low, but I know they're going in.
So you're only dose from your corals are getting it. So
exactly.
And they're going to get benefit of it, right? It's always available if you're putting it in every day.
Yeah. So that's the kind of shotgun approach rather than doing individual bottles of. I think my job for next year really is to work out. I need to make my own because they're expensive. So I think I'll work out how to make a solution because they do cations and anions, don't they? Split them out. So I just need to work out. So I'm sure it'll save a fortune, like most things, if you do it yourself.
Right. Okay.
We do, Tom, like launching a space shuttle or something.
Sorry, I've got a stretch on it. The camera.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll just chuck it in on the PO4 to start with. In terms of phosphate.
I bet some people don't even test it more.
I'll just chuck that in there anyway. If people can give us a vote. Goodbye on Drown. Thanks for joining us this morning, mate. Thank you. Is anybody using Colombo testing kits? Never heard of them.
No, they are fresh. They are fresh water.
A
lot of fresh water, but I've seen them used with a lot of fresh water.
When the Mastertronic first came out, they recommend using the Colombo iodine test.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, to get iodine.
I used to use their ammonia test for a freshwater tank, Colombo. I only ever see them in freshwater shops. I've never seen them in a reef shop.
No, I've never even heard of them, to be honest with you.
It just turns up your house in a Mac and a cigar, doesn't he? That's Colombo.
Tells me what I don't want to hear.
Yeah. Is this the one we're talking about? No, I've never heard of them, so I can't come. I've never used them.
I don't know.
So, ponds, freshwater, and marine. Test ammonia, nitrate, nitrate, pH, KH, GH.
Well, the best way is to go and get saliva kits and so on.
Right, alkalinity. Yeah.
See if it matches up.
Right, okay. So, back to you two guys. So I'm leaving you out. What test kits have you used that have gone in the bin, incidentally? So I know you were going about salinity, Rob, earlier. What have you both used that you got rid of that you're not fans of?
Well, I dumped my Milwaukee just because it was just so inconsistent for me. I mean, I bought it because everyone went. I mean, I've probably been through every salinity test that's been made for this hobby so far, and I still struggle. I've got every refractometer from D&D and Red Sea. I use a hydrometer, the TMC hydrometer.
The glass one, not the plastic one.
The glass one, And to be fair, it's very easy for me because I've got a little satellite tank with one power head, so I can turn the power head off, so there's no water movement. I can drop it in, and it's dead simple. I can understand it's a bit of a faff if you've got like a tank like yours, Tom, where you'd have to take the water out, slip it in a cylinder, But for me, it's just super easy. It's consistent, and even if I know they're calibrated to 25, but if you actually do the conversion, if your temperature's at 26, like mine might be, it's such a fraction out. It's not worth worrying about in terms of salinity. Yeah, so that's my go-to now. Really, I had the Hannah pen, which just it was all over the place, to be honest. It worked fine for probably the first 6 months I had it, but I used to calibrate it every single time I used it. So the calibration solutions, I just went burning money for that. And refractometers, I don't know. I just couldn't get enough consistency out of them, really. So I bought probably 5 in total, and I just went through all of them. And in the end, over the course, obviously I've got the salinity conductivity probe as well as the Apex, but I think it's read 0 for the last 18 months, so that's dead. So I gave up on that.
No, I've never been able to get mine right either.
So what do you settle on, Rob? Salinity?
Testing
35.
And what you
use? That 0.26.
Oh, okay. 2.6.
People are different on that. That's one thing that I don't find that spoke about. That people settle on different salinities for their tanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those, so I've heard that corals prefer it higher. You can get better growth. I guess just the density of the elements is greater, isn't it? If you're going to run at 37, for example, which I don't know what the Red Sea's at, but that's quite a high salinity, isn't it? But the fish do better because of just the osmotic potential.
Yeah.
At lower salinities. I guess 35 is, where most people have mixed reefs with fish, don't they? So 35 is a sort of set point. But I guess, I don't know whether farms push their salinity up to try and get a bit more growth or not. I don't know what you do, Christian. I don't know if you run at 35 or you try and push it a bit.
36 maybe, yeah. 35 to 36. Yeah, and it does push the trace up. So it's funny, right? I got an ICP test back not long ago, and my salinity was slightly lower than it normally is, so it's around 34. Well, 34 would mean that all my other traces are lower than the target values. So where the actions came in on that ICP, it didn't say just raise your salinity at one point. In fact, just invest in every single bottle we sell. So individually to get your tank back. Yeah. I didn't do that. I just added a little bit of salt.
Salt.
It was good. So about 36 is my target.
They missed that in there, didn't they?
See, through the
I think people forget how just important salinity is, though, for everything else, because it's always taken from 35, isn't it? So it's like you just said, you need to check the salinity first before you make any actions on changing stuff, because it will change. If your salinity is 33, it's completely different to what it would be at 35. So, I just think it's probably one of the most important things to just keep on point with, really. And it's easy to let it drift.
You threw the Milwaukee away. Then you've gone for the hydrometer for your salinity. So what did you? What was your? What went in the bin in terms of all the other tests, and which ones do you stick with now? I know you've got the Trident, but from a manual testing, what's your go-to?
Oh, your Salifets.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just cheap, quick, easy, do the job. You can't go wrong with a titration test, really. I mean, I know the actual point of the colour change can be difficult at some point, but they don't have to be that accurate, do they? A lot of these measurements.
Okay.
Salifet have been helping reefers succeed since day dot. And before all this auto-testing equipment, we're all doing the Salifet alkalinity test.
It's a basic titration, isn't it? It can't really go wrong, can it? I mean, the only thing I don't use is I'd use the phosphate Hannah egg. That's the only Hannah that's made it through. I've binned all the others, the alkalinity, the magnesium, the calcium, they've all gone. And it's all right for me, but I'm not that hung up on my phosphate. Mine tends to run about 0.1 because I've got a very heavy fish load, don't I? And that's it. I'm not that bothered. I'm more concerned about it bottoming out, to be honest. I mean, it's been up at 0.15 before. I don't really see any massive difference, but then I'm not a huge stickhead, am I? So,
what?
Stickhead. I'm definitely the other one.
Josh, sorry, mate. You feel like we're out here, mate. Go quiet. So, what have you used and binned, and what's your preferred at the minute? Then
like Christian's just said, Salafert's been tried and tested for so long. When I started, I went and bought Salaferts for all the tests that I do, and I've stuck with them the entire time. The only one, like again, with like Rob's just said, I've went and got the phosphorus for the phosphate readings. But other than that, it's literally just been Salifert. I've never binned any of them off. They've always done what I need them to do. I know we were talking about color changes there. I think I think it's the magnesium and the calcium. The color changes, you can get a really, like, literally one drop. You notice that change to the blue because they're pink, and then it goes slightly purpley for a bit. As soon as you do, like, if you slow the drops down, you do notice when it goes from purple to blue, it is literally within one drop, which is like 0.02 mil or something. So I think you can get a fairly accurate result with that one. Whether or not it's accurate to the actual numerical value, but you'll get a consistent result as long as you're doing it properly. So I'm fairly happy with those as test kits. Salinity, I'm the same as Rob. Glass hydrometer. I used a refractometer for a while, but I noticed that if I wasn't doing if the refractometer was really cold, let's say, I'd have a different reading. So I'd have to do a number of tests before eventually it seemed to settle itself out. I was doing sort of like 5 or 6 tests, and it got quite frustrating. So I thought, I'm just going to get a glass hydrometer because it's calibrated. I knew a reading from a set point. I made sort of a batch of salt water up, made sure it was the right temperature, popped the hydrometer in, left it, took the reading off of that, and then I was like, right, that's my set point now. Whenever I test my tank, it needs to be that value, and it'll go in while I do the other tests. At the end, I'll have a look. If it's right, I'm comfortable that it's good enough. So yeah, I think you say Salifert is just, it's always worked for me. It's always worked for tens of thousands, it'll be, if not more, hundreds of thousands of reefers. So they've got to be doing something right. So I'm confident enough that they're doing something right.
Any of the kit that you've used that's gone in the bin like some others over the years? Anything that you've tried and tested and upon anything? No, nothing got it. So straight.
No, I went straight in with Salifert, and I've stuck with it ever since. It's always been good, so I don't see it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I've just gone with it. Christian, what was you said you were using? Was it the Red Sea you were using for the phosphate?
Red Sea Pro, yeah, they do too.
For the phosphate.
Pro and normal, but yeah, it's the easiest to read titration kit. They got a little dial, a little wheel at the bottom.
C5. Spin it around, don't you? You put the two in there.
This one,
yeah, they're brilliant. They're so easy to read. Yeah, Red Sea Pro, it's fantastic.
Just share on the screen.
30 quid, I think they are, isn't it? Something like that.
Is that the 15-minute wait one?
Yeah, that's right. So look, it's 42 quid on your kit, right? And then you can buy the refills for slightly less. And the refill has like the new solutions for the titration and a new disc.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's repeatable every time. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 drops of one, 4 drops of the other. Give it a shake and disappear for 15 minutes at a time. Are you done?
So that's what you're using in the farm then?
Yes.
Right. Interesting. Learn something new every day, mate.
Is it one of those that if you leave it too long, will the colour develop past the point of accuracy?
I mean, sometimes I forget to look at it, but I'll come back 5 minutes later. I'll take a reading.
So, Josh,
I don't think it changes like the Salifert nitrate. Sorry.
That's all right. When I spoke to different roofers before about doing the Salifert calcium magnesium tests, I always find to get a different opinion about when that colour changes. So, if they're doing 1 drop at a time, is it the minute that colour almost it's a blue, but is it blue compared to, do they carry on putting a couple more drops in to get it to a definite blue?
But
do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It literally does. So it's a pink colour for the majority, and then you'll see it start going purple over about 5 or 6 drops. If you're unsure, I'll look at the syringe to make sure. I took a reading in my head, and I think, right, it's, let's say 0.12. I'll be like, right, okay, it's at that. And I'll add another drop. If I don't see any definitive colour change, I'm like, right, it's already hit that blue point. I'll have a white background. So I usually use the white wall behind me. I've got the window here, so I get a nice bit of daylight through it. And if I don't notice a change, I'm like, right, I'll revert back to that 0.12. I think it's the magnesium and the calcium, the colour change. You get a gradual, and then there's just this really instant sort of goes to blue, and you're like, yep, I know where I'm at now. Whereas the alkalinity, I can't remember what it goes to pink basically, and it's quite gradual, and you don't get a real sharp change like you do with the others. So that one is a case of you might get a little bit of inaccuracy, but again, it's not a massive amount that I'm overly concerned.
Yeah, I think the point with that and what's important for kind of new reefers is where you have got that, so 1 drop on the beginning colour, second drop I'm in like a media, in between colour, and third drop I'm on that definitive change. Well, always measure your number at that same point, right? So if I do the test and I'm okay, so as soon as it starts to change colour and I'm in that mid colour and that's the one I'm getting my reading from, do it like that all the time, and you've got the trend there, right? So with alkalinity, that where I'd wait for it to be that definitive colour change, well, actually, there's a drop in between on that, right?
Yeah.
A medium colour change, so it goes like a pink instead of like the blue. I can't remember which way around it is. But that initial colour change, where it's not quite fully the other colour, that's where your alkatronic will test you.
Right.
So it's looking for that initial kind of initial change. Yeah. Right. So consistency, key to everything is consistency.
Yeah.
And that's going to enable you to measure your stability, right? So it doesn't matter if we all read them slightly different. Just do it.
It's an interesting point, though, to be fair, that, make sure you're doing your test the same way every time.
One thing I'll say on that, you're saying about doing the test the same way, is make sure that bottle, the dropper bottles, when you're doing the reagents, it has to be perfectly inverted. If you've got it on a 45, the surface tension of the liquid is going to create a larger drop. So if you're doing, let's say, 4 drops, you're going to do a larger drop if you've got the bottle at a 45 than what you would if it's totally vertical. And then if you've got the wrong amount of reagent going in there, so if you're doing it 1 drop's vertical, you'll have too much or too little going in. You're going to get a different result. It has to be invert the bottle perfectly, do your 4 drops, even if you have to do a test drop on a piece of paper or something just to waste it away. 4 consistent drops. If you're doing it on different angles, I think BRS did a video on it a good number of years ago, and they showed that if you're not doing it properly, you will get different results.
Like 45 degrees.
You get a bigger drop at an angle.
Yeah, bigger drop. Yeah.
Right, Rob, you're gonna have to watch out in your bins. It looks like some people are going to show up at your house over the next couple of days.
I just heard some noise outside. I wonder what it was.
Anybody might have all the way down, and Jay's also on the ground as well, by the looks of it. Just going to jump to a couple of questions that we've had. Looks like Gaz is going to be buying some more LPS off you, sir.
Look forward to it, sir. Thank you. Hope the Raj is doing well.
I hope the Raj is doing well that you got yesterday. Jay's asking you, Christian, can a Goniapora coral ever be recovered once it starts to bail?
God, it's difficult. So there's a number of ways that they'll start to bail. So they might start stripping like a bit brown jellyish, in which case you can cut the skeleton away. You can just throw it in some really strong antibiotic, like some Cipro or amoxicillin, maybe a erythromycin. Right. Just leave it there and just swill it round, every half an hour for a few hours. If it's one where the algae's got into the skeleton, so like the top of the skeleton, where you've got like that honeycomb shape, is getting algae on it, you can scrape that off, put it in a low light area. Feed it, just baby steps with them. The things with gonnies, they don't like to be moved. It's very difficult to save a bailing gonny.
Oh dear.
Everyone says, feed manganese. Okay, yeah, they're going to like a bit of manganese. I'm working on a gonny-specific elixir, if you want to call it that. So hopefully that will help.
Interesting.
Yeah, gonnies are difficult. Once they start going, it's the thing with gonnies, always be prepared to lose them, right? Same with any coral. Never be too attached, right? And if you really love it, just, buy another one if it does.
And test your water.
Yeah. Do the best you can do.
What about iodine with a stressed coral? Are you of the opinion that it is extremely important?
No, I think iodine can even burn and stress them even more.
Right.
It's like it works a bit like antiseptic.
That is something I've heard over the years that I've been in. If the corals are stressed, get some iodine in the tank. I have heard that a lot.
Right, let me just jump back to this podcast for a second. So I did the poll on the phosphate. I'm going to end this now. Thanks for people that have voted. We're going to go down certain parameters or certain testing. And what do we get? How often do you test your PL4? So 45%, 11 people voted. Thanks for voting. 11 people. Out of 11 people, the majority said every 2 weeks. 36% said 2-3 times a week. 18% said daily.
Bear in mind, you have to take into consideration what sort of tanks people have got that are voting, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because it's certainly more.
Coral test is every test weekly. I do mine every other day.
If you want better corals and you're not happy with your corals, test your phosphate more regular. And don't use GFO.
Yeah, don't use GFO. Something. Yeah.
Don't use GFO.
Yeah.
Don't use any phosphate absorber. Don't feed as much. Don't pollute your tank.
Roman's saying, how are you guys logging your results? I used to use a spreadsheet. Now I'm using the Apex thing, but find it fiddly tipsy. Another person finds Apex fiddly, Rob. Not just yeah. How we logging stuff?
Pen and paper.
You're old school.
I'm still old school, mate. Yeah.
Pen and paper.
It's all about.
Got a diary. Yeah.
I've got a quill and parchment.
You've got a quill.
Okay. Parchment, yeah. No, I use the Apex.
You use what? The Apex.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh, how do you log anything?
I've got an app. It's called Aquarium Note, and you can set your parameters that you want to test. But you can change it. So you can pick the parameters that you test, and then you can go on and define, like, do user define. So if it'll preset you a range and a number, but you can change that to what you'd prefer. And if you want a larger range, a shorter range, and then I just do that, and you can follow a graph on it. You can go on the individual elements, follow a graph. It's not. I think it's only on Google Play. I don't know if it's on iPhones, but I think it's quite hard to get hold of now. I don't know if it's an app that was discontinued, but I've managed to keep it because I've always had it historically.
Right. Okay.
So I used to use something called Aquarimate. What's that? How do you pronounce that?
Aquarimate.
Yeah.
And that was pretty good for what it did. It was on my phone.
Right. Okay. I don't log anything at the minute. I've got to get the Trident set up. It's been behind me for God knows how long, but I just do it. Yeah, upstairs. Keep it upstairs. Oh, I put it in my notes on my iPhone. To be fair, if I've got something if I'm trying to, like bring it down or raise it, so I don't put too much of something in, or Have
you got the Apex head unit connected though, Tom? Are you running it with the probes?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So you are logging in because that logs automatically.
Yeah, I'm logging it, but I'm the only thing I'm logging at the minute is the pH on the Apex. I like the pH. I don't trust the salinity probe that I used in a while.
You hit the little icon at the top. You can just put in your results in there. You know that?
No, I didn't know that. No.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know anything about reefing. This is just.
Are you sure?
That's a screensaver behind you.
Yeah, iPhone notebook. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's that one. Looks like the vial.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's, beaker.
Yeah, it's like a little beaker, isn't it? Yeah, and it just allows you to manually put in, and then you can do trends over time and
Josh,
compare it.
Review Josh says it's class. TMC Favy app. Didn't know there was one.
Oh, yeah, I downloaded that. Yeah.
Marine app on my phone logs everything, including livestock. Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know some of these. To be fair, I did download one a while ago, but you've got to make sure you don't be the one that keeps charging you to pay for this, that, and the other. Okay. Right then. Next one then. So I'm going to put a poll in now. What next one we're going to do? Alkalinity, I think. What are we going to do? Daily, 2-3. We can only have 4 of these. Daily, 2-3 times a week. What we're going
Let's put once a month.
Weekly.
Once a fortnight.
You could put once alkalinity.
Once a month. Okay.
Turn the switch off at the wall and walk away.
He needs a mouse, Christian, does he? Look at the way he struggles there.
I do struggle. A couple of questions here, actually. Let me just fly up here. Ram was asking you, Josh, how big is your tank, roughly? How many litres?
It's exactly 196.
196. Wow, okay.
What is it with displacement, Josh? I feel like you'd know that.
That's what it is with displacement. So I changed the size of the moved the baffles around in the sump and allowed it to have a higher volume than what it should have. And then when I added the water in, it was exactly 196 with all the rock and that in it as well.
Nice.
Right, okay.
Very precise.
You're so precise, Josh. I envy your precise.
Oh, he's a fireman. He's got to be. See?
Yeah. And he cleans his tank daily. Cleans his tank more than I clean my teeth, I think. I think I need to work.
That's not hard, yeah.
Shut up. Morning, Ailey. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Ailey.
Morning, Ailey. Thanks for joining us, love. Let's have a look. Anybody voting? Yeah. So at the minute, majority of people saying test their alkalinity weekly. To which Christian best answers. What's your ideal then with alkalinity? What would you be saying to people this morning?
Just want to ask you that.
Yeah.
if you've got LPS and that's all you've got, maybe twice a week. If you aspire to keep acros, at least once a day.
At least once a day.
At least once a day, yeah.
Okay.
If you want to get the best out of your acros.
Yeah.
If you want to get
if you were doing twice a day on the acros, where would you pick your 2 points to test?
Yeah.
If you're thinking two points a day,
yes.
I would say lights on and lights off, like your pH. Yeah. Because, like, I mean, if you're using a dose of it split into 24 equal doses, you're probably going to get, depending on your consumption and your tank stability, anywhere between the 0.3 to 0.7 DKH swing a day anyway. So yeah, and you'll probably see that on the beginning of the light schedule and the end of the light schedule. All right.
So what are you
generally speaking?
So when you're so if people were going to take on board what you're saying and test or twice a day at those set points, what would you suggest people are looking for? Obviously, you're looking for it, like you just said, it dropping. How would they then counteract that? Because what we don't want to do is what a lot of people do. I've done it in the years, is chasing that number, pick a bottle off the shelf and pour something in, or would you suggest
what's a happy swing for you?
Well, so I'll probably forget the twice daily. I mean, if you're doing titration tests, just do it once a day and then pick the same time every day. So if I'm testing it at 6 p.m. religiously, 6 p.m. every day, I'm doing that test.
Funny enough, that's what I do.
You know, right? And then, if it's lower, increase your dosing by a small amount. Next day you test it, has it gone lower?
Okay.
I mean, this is the basics.
Basics,
right?
yeah. Basics.
It's high, reduce that dose. Just go on like that. As long as there's not any kind of limiting factors on consumption, like having a house full of guests, which is going to plummet your CO2 or something like that. So don't make adjustments if you know that there's something there that would have impacted it, right? But
don't throw barbecues then now.
Yeah, definitely throw barbecues. Yeah, definitely throw barbecues. And invite Tim Raper. Yeah, definitely do that.
What's a happy swing then for you, Christian? For your out throughout the day, where you're not adjusting, you're just watching it. Yeah, is it like 0.3, 0.2, something like that?
I mean, so I naturally let my reef swing. So when we maybe 2 years into the business, I thought, how can I make the best corals possible? I know I'll have ultra stable water, right? And I'll go for no swing throughout the day. And I'll make sure that, when I say no swing, I'm within 0.1 of the DKH, yeah? And I did that, and I found that the corals weren't as durable for the people buying them. So now I let the water swing quite a lot, quite substantially, and still managed to maintain those colours. But like 0.7 on a day, 0.7 DKH, almost one full DKH, or down and then up, right? Sorry. What'd you say, Rob?
No, I'm just saying, that makes sense. I guess because there's a window of stability, which obviously that's fine for you, but when people go home and their tanks are that much different, is that a shock? So if you've got a wider range, I understand where you're going now.
I mean, I punish our corals, right? And they are used to getting not ideal, but in the realms of where it wants to be, right? But it's stable over a long period of time, right? It's not shifting every month. It's within those kind of parameters. Yeah. So when people put them in an average tank, say, they should just do okay. They should just do well. Yeah. And grow.
Hard in there.
And if they've got an ultra steel tank, maybe they do a little bit better. I think it's healthy to have a little bit of swing, just for that durability. Right?
No sugar. Coffee.
Yeah, that's two.
One, in fact, two. Yeah, I need the energy.
Need a bit of energy. A few more people have jumped in. Doug, thanks for joining us. Morning from Frag Farm. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. And morning to Stuart. Doug, if you are listening, do you want to just put in the comments? I'm curious to know. Obviously, we've asked Christian about the farm at Signature. What do you test, or what would you say the most important ones are for the farm in terms of parameters, and how often do you test them? If you don't mind putting that in the comments, that'd be interesting to get your feedback on that one. Back to the poll. I'm going to finish it there. So the majority of people are testing their alkalinity weekly. Yeah. Pull your finger out is what you're saying there.
Yeah, pull your finger out your ass.
Do it more often.
I think that's just general advice, though, isn't it? Really, when you start your tank,
I was going to say that
people just go to do weekly testing.
Yeah,
I think that.
True.
It's probably fine when you start your tank because you're not going to be putting iron sticks in it, are you? But I guess as you progress, you need to, like you up everything else, you need to up your testing as well, don't you? Really,
it's what you aspire to, right? You know, are you insuring your tank? Are you tinkering with it all the time? Do you want the best out of your SPS, right? Or is it just an easy mode? This is my lovely little tank. It just sits there, does its own thing, plods along. It's got loads of flowy LPS and softies in it. But if you've got softies in, all right, God, test alkaline once a fortnight, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's how much effort do you want to put into your tank and what do you want to get out of it, I guess. So it's finding that happy balance because you don't want to make your hobby work, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Doug's come straight back in. Thanks for answering, Doug. Appreciate it. Your contribution. Order it priority for him at Frag Farm. Salinity. He uses the Milwaukee. It was actually that sort of said to me, try it. And to be fair, it's been brilliant with the ICPs that I get from Fauna. It's always been in tune. Calcium. That's interesting. Fluoride and dynamic metals.
Well, no KH.
Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry. Is done hourly. What do you on the Doug? I'm assuming it's going to be something automated. Put it in the comments. It'd be good to know. Interesting.
Got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah. So,
well, fluoride test. How do you test for fluoride?
I don't know.
Test it with my teeth.
Taste test.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you test fluoride? It's not only on an IC, but it's on the advanced actually phone. You don't get it on the standard one. You have to send the advanced one for fluoride, believe it or not.
Yeah.
They don't include fluoride on the normal one. Yeah.
So we're saying like, Adam's saying he can notice his blues are bluer than they've ever been. And once your blues are as blue as you can possibly imagine, that's when you've got enough fluorine.
That's the measure, is it?
Yeah, you can do irreparable damage with fluorine. Fluorine's like the in vogue trace element at the minute.
Yeah.
And everyone's chasing this fluoride tree like it's like the latest greatest thing for your reef. Honestly, for 20 years we've been reefing, getting amazing results without fluorine. So don't sweat it if your fluorine ain't there. It's one of these trends. It's the in vogue trace at the minute. Yeah, it's important to have it above a certain level, I guess. There's a theory that it can stop you getting certain things in your tank, like cyan or whatever that. Personally, I think that's rubbish. So just take everything with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
You know, keep your main ones right, like your alkalinity, your calcium, your phosphates. You're going to get better measurable results from those. We're talking marginal gains here. And for 95% of reefers, that isn't going to be important. Right?
Yeah.
You got any?
Do you do big water changes on your system, Christian? I guess you do because you're taking water out when you sell corals, aren't you, really? But
yeah, we're always using water as we're packing, right? So there's like mini water changes, but I make a point of removing like detritus build-up at least once a week, you know, and that can be done in as little as like on my system, maybe even 5% less than that change. But then I do make a point of doing bigger changes, so maybe 30% at least once a month, you know? Yeah.
You got any? Just quickly, sorry. You got any opinion on rubidium, Christian?
It's not something I know a massive amount about. I know it's on the reef moonshiners, isn't it? It's not really one I've really looked into, to be honest with you, mate. So now I can't answer that one.
Doug uses the JH Chaos Direct, is what you were talking about earlier, Josh. Isn't it something you want to get hold of, possibly? Is that right?
It'd be nice just to have there to understand, like Christian was saying about the trends across the day. It'd be nice. It's nice to have. If I don't ever end it on the tank, I'm not going to be overly panicked. But again, it would be something that'd be nice to have.
Is that the one with the probes, or is that a titration one?
The titration one.
Right. What's the probe one? Is that?
Actually, tell it. Well, I know it does.
Is that the ion?
It draws in water. I think they both work the same. I think they draw in water, and there are, I believe, there's reagents involved in it. So I'm assuming it must be a titration one.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. Yeah.
Didn't some company make one with just probes that did the testing? Is that GHL? I think there's something.
I think that might be the ion director one. Maybe might have something to do with the probe.
Some do one, don't they? I think as well. That's Pacific Sun do one with a probe. I'm sure they do. I looked at that years ago. So look now.
Zepta, is that one probe based?
That name will ring a bell to me.
Yeah, I'm saying I thought that was titration, but maybe not. I think there's too many now.
Yeah, there is. Okay, so I'll chuck with Cole in a minute regarding salinity. PhD uses a pH probe and does an acid titration.
No, it's titration.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So I'm looking at reef moonshiners here.
Yeah.
And other than saying you need to use rubidium, he recommends it's one of those ones you add daily.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think most ICPs are for it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's not one I know about.
I caught someone, and I can't even remember who it was. It might have been when I was with you, Tom. It was, wasn't it? We watched something with someone who was trying to announce the absolute importance of it, and it caught me off guard, if I'm honest. Because I hadn't heard anyone else ever mention rubidium.
So it seems like so on this reef moonshine it's beneficial, extremely beneficial to mix reefs that include torches, zoas, and exotic mushrooms and other soft corals. The experience is from trials that bounces and shrooms and zoa are reproducing much quicker and more than without the supplement of rubidium. So I guess for farming, it looks like for farming torches, zoa, and shrooms, you want to propagate them at an increased rate.
These are legal mushrooms we're talking about here.
I hope so, sir. Yeah. I don't endorse the use of magic mushrooms or any psychedelics at all.
Rubidium seems to have no biological function, but there is anecdotal evidence it improves bounce mushrooms. So yeah, going on to what you're saying.
Yeah, so Doug here, moonshiners, torches, zoas, and shrooms increase propagation rates. Right, that's what this guy Andre recommends.
Possibly. The standard generic statement for a trace element used then, basically.
It's extremely expensive, and put it in because we think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
and, there's lots of money for it.
The bounces are basically like cancerous lesions of what I've read in the past. They're not like, it's not a natural occurrence on it, and it's more like it's something that shouldn't be there. But I'd imagine if you're adding something potentially vesicles. More than you should. Say again.
You're talking about the vesicles, the bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a immune response or a viral infection or something. I don't think that's a natural phenomenon.
No, exactly. I think that if they're saying that adding too much or adding more of that might increase the amount of bounces on a mushroom, then is it something that actually is detrimental?
Yeah.
Obviously, a bounce mushroom is sought after. So, do we want that in the hobby? Is it something that's a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Vesicle production is seen across the animal kingdom, and it's normally a response to either some sort of infection or some sort of immune response. So
yeah, so it's a negative
why
effect,
it'd be different in a marine environment. That'd be my personal. I mean, it could be wrong, obviously, and it's another generic statement, but we love them in this hobby, don't we? Just safety. But if there is literature out there that looks at other animals to see vesicle and the reasons they're caused. So I don't see why it would be that different.
I'll send you that.
So it is a negative response then, Rob, you're saying?
Yeah. So to some sort of viral infection or immune response to it.
Right, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interestingly, on that very point, did you watch Than's video with Fragbox and Paul from AAC when he went to Tyler Garden? He's got those vesicles in all weird sorts of corals, isn't he?
Mushrooms. Like a fatty or goniastria type thing.
Yeah. So that made me think that may be some sort of viral infection or some sort of response, because that's a weird coral to see those vesicles in. But
have you?
Yeah, bounce acrates, and like it'll just inflate, and then pop, and then it'll just be dead skeleton behind. So
wow.
I thought it was cool the first time, or as you probably do with anything, but I've seen it many times over the years.
Yeah.
Stuart, you were saying I do what? I don't know what he means by change.
Water change?
Oh, I do water changes, I'm assuming. Yeah, typo. Once a month and test once a month.
That'd be nice.
Calcium, magnesium, fast. Do what? Do water changes. Right, okay. How often do you...
driving and texting or something, is he?
Probably, yeah.
I think he sounds like he had a night out with Tom last night.
It's all his fault.
Notice I left Christian out of it.
It was. It was.
Eyes like piss holes. I don't normally look like this. I've normally got eyelids. No good eyes. Yeah.
What's putting here? Tissue bubbles are normally down to low boron.
So do you think you can promote further bouncing of stubborn redactors by having low boron?
Right. Okay.
That'd be interesting.
Stuart, what else are you saying? I test this phosphate, nights, alkalinity, calcium, magnesium every month.
He sounds like he's off his nut.
Yes.
Half 11. It's bank holiday. It's half 11 in the morning.
Yeah. It's probably watching it 100 texting. Okay.
Going back to what Doug's just said there about so he said about the boron there. Again, is that scientifically proven, or is that anecdotal? You've decreased the amount of boron, you've noticed increased amount of bounces on a mushroom.
Or it's like not having that protection there, and it's now susceptible to that infection or whatever it is. Rob's demise is affected.
Yeah.
Not having your sunscreen, right? So boron's like sunscreen for bounce corals or for mushrooms. If you want to bounce, don't give them sunscreen.
Let burn.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
it depends. It's a cancer, then, isn't it? Is what we're saying. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
You think a lot of the time we forget we're dealing with animals when we talk so generally about reef tanks and
I hope not. No, I hope not, because I don't want anyone to ever see corals as being disposable. So, yeah, experiment, but with the mindset that the animal comes first.
Right, then just go back to the poll for a minute. So I have the viewers, in terms of salinity, how often do you test it? And the majority are saying weekly. So yeah, 60% say weekly, 20% daily, 20% monthly. Yeah. So, okay.
I think if someone's happy with their tank and truly going downhill on a daily or whatever, why would they ever change from weekly? Do you know what I mean? If someone is really happy with how their tank looks and their coral looks, and have they got any reason to up their testing because they're happy at the end of the week with how things have gone?
I think go back to Christian's original point. It's what you want to get out your tank. We talk about all the time. Your time, how much effort you want to put into it. Yeah. Effort equals results, doesn't it? Ideally it does. Sometimes the wrong ones, but yeah, I think if you do what that couple of useful tips today is definitely increase the alkalinity for me testing. Because I don't do it. I test it probably every other day, not daily.
Okay. If you've got a stick tank and you're only doing things once a week, you're probably gonna see that decline more than if you've got a couple of mushrooms, and
especially when you've got a trident sitting in the cupboard.
Yeah, I get that. But if I'm doing things like this filter frost daily, then I may as well just.
It's not going to hurt you.
Not hurt, is it?
Exactly. You want to get the if you're doing sticks and you're taking sticks seriously, test it once. Once a day,
yeah, definitely.
Like I say, LPS maybe once a week. Softies, whatever.
Stuart's apologising. He had a few last night.
So did we, sir.
So did we, mate. Yeah, so did we. Yeah, thanks for joining us again.
Still haven't seen Tim.
Yeah, Tim's not even surfaced.
I think his wife's going to let him do everything all day.
No, I don't either. Okay.
That's him. We're
talking about the calcium then. Do any of us test it regularly? I mean, I know we've talked about Christian doing it in the farm. Anybody bothered about calcium? Weekly? Okay.
Weekly.
Well, Trident does it twice a day.
Yeah, I know, Rob. You've got all these
and well, you don't ask them. I mean, it's quite stable actually, isn't it, calcium? Really, I mean, it doesn't tend to. If you do water changes and whatnot, I'm trying to think. I have dosed it in the past, but I mean, the calcium hydroxide's going in with a calc as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
It don't really move a lot, to be honest. But I do manually test it, probably just to check the Trident. Like I said, once a month, just to make sure the figures are what they're showing are actually accurate. That's it. Yeah, I had the henna one, but that was a proper faff. Would I recommend it?
Recommend it?
I mean, I've got to be honest, I like it. I don't like acting as a salesman for any company, to be honest. But the thing is, if I use it, then obviously I like it. Because if I don't like things, I bin them and I move on. So if you see me using something, then generally I'm quite happy with it. And I know there's a lot of people out there who've had trouble, but I've had mine from day one. I've done the DIY kit on it myself, where you replace the manifold and the tube, and I've done that once. I've run it for 4 years. It just works. It's just good as gold. You think he's doing those tests every single day, 365 days a year, and it's never given me proper wobbly results. It can't really ask so much more, can it?
Pay for itself 10 times over, really.
And how does it compare with ICP? I know you don't do ICPs probably that regularly, but when you do, what does it? I'm assuming you have compared it, like for like.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's always been consistent for me. Yeah, it's good. I mean, when the I had a problem with one of the lines, it came off because they're really fiddly inside. The manifolds are tiny and the lines are really small. So that's the only time I'd have put one of the lines got blocked. But in 4 years of a bit of kit like that.
What are you on percentage wise? Because there's some commission coming to you because Ram's going
to. Yeah, I wish.
We need some affiliate links. Something.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, they're not cheap, are they?
No, they're not.
They're not cheap.
And you can, to be fair, you can get, if you haven't got an Apex, to do a good combo deal, don't they? I think you save a few £100 if you get the Apex and the track one. Save a few £100. That's worth looking at.
Or, I mean, they do come up on eBay quite frequently as well. People shut tanks down and sell them, so you might be able to get £300-400 per one.
Yeah, it is. Well, £250 if you get a real bargain.
Real bargain. Oh, I've still got to give you some money for that, haven't I?
Liam says he's counting 4 times a day on the Trident for me, whilst he's still dialing in the tank. One at least saying recommends it. Had it 3 to 4 years, one of the best bit of kit he's ever bought. Oh, interesting. I'm curious to know what other people use in terms of automated. Obviously, I've got the Trident. I keep saying I'm going to set up.
Alcatronic's quite popular. Is that what you got, Christian? You say you use an Alcatronic?
Yeah, I use Alcatronic. Yeah. They're a pig to calibrate. They really are. They're a nightmare. And I think the first time you take one home, you're pulling your hair out because you're connected to the internet. Yeah, once you get them working, they're fantastic. However, it's one of these where, I'm expected to be a computer programmer. I'm not. I'm a cover farmer. Yeah. So my Alcatronics are so far behind in terms of updates because I've got to take them apart and plug them into the computer and download various files and bits and bobs. I wish you didn't have to do that. I wish it was just kind of automated. I think with the Trident, that's probably all automated, isn't it? If they update software or anything.
Yeah, the updates, and you just hit the cloud button, and it updates everything. You don't touch anything.
There's a lot to be said for that. I mean, for me in the farm and testing equipment, it comes down to how much time do I have to spend making it work.
Yeah.
Right. And the as little, the better. Right. We're heavily invested in Alcatronic now, so we've got 6 on the farm.
6.
Yeah, so you've gone that route. Yeah.
It's 6 of them. Was that Rob?
6.
I said, yeah. So you committed to that route, and you really. So yeah, once you've gone down there. Yeah,
I am tempted by the Trident because they're quite a bit cheaper. I like the I'm tempted.
I only know people with farms that have Alcatronics. I don't know any reefer that has an Alcatronic.
Yeah. I think they were the first out, weren't they?
Yeah.
Kind of mass kind of tested back AH direct and the main but
Josh, nice comment here from Doug. Your tank is very beautiful. Cleans it daily, hourly. On the Aldi hunt.
Once a day.
Josh, there's a little speck of algae on the top right.
I'm slacking. Rob will be pleased.
Yeah, thank Christ.
Oh dear.
He's not even looked yet. Look, he's not even checked.
No, he's not biting.
Come on, look, I can see him twitching now. He's like,
He's staring at the image on the screen now.
There's a little bit across here, but you can't see it. But I saw it before I turned the tank on. I was like, oh, there's some there. I might want to scrape that up. They're never going to see it. I'm not bothered. I'll leave it. I'll do it later.
I haven't even got a tank.
No.
Yeah, Rob's just making it all up. I don't actually believe it. We never see the tank.
Yeah, I've just got a green screen, mate. It's all lies.
Like
CGI.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm a best read forever. I had a display for 20 years.
So, is there anything that we're testing on so let's talk about ICPs then for a minute then. So obviously we can't test things, we can't buy the test kit, or there's nothing on the shelf that we believe to be accurate or be able to test it accurately. What other parameters do we look at on ICPs in terms of, chasing, well, not chasing numbers, but what are we looking for? So, I mean, Doug mentioned the metals earlier, didn't he, in one of the comments. Is these something that you're looking at in your tank, or you, Josh?
I'll look at them all. If I'm doing the test and I'm getting the results back, I'll look at them all. If there's something that is miles out of line, I might be a little bit concerned. But I know that trace elements are going in, so if something does come back as 0, same as what Rob was saying earlier, I won't be overly panicked because at the end of the day, I know they're going in. If I've got something that say is like 5 times the recommended amount, I might start to consider why that's happened. But at the end of the day, if you're doing an ICP, you're doing it because you've got that massive range of tests that are happening for you. You're paying for it. You might as well look at the results. I'm not going to do an ICP just to check that my calcium is what my Salifert test kit is. I'm doing it for the wider range of things. So I'll look at them all. I'll take them all with a pinch of salt because at the end of the day, we still know ICP testing isn't a nailed on science. We still know there is some indiscrepancies with it. So I will take it with a pinch of salt. But in general, it's just a case of just a bit of a health checkup. Am I happy that things are in the right area and heading in the right direction? If they are, then I'm more than happy.
How often do you do the ICP on your system?
So I've been doing it every 3 months. I would like to try and maybe do it once a month, just for a little bit more peace of mind. But just purely on a financial basis, just thought once every 3 months for me was enough. But I think if I do start to step up and maybe put some nicer acros in there, it's something that it's an investment you want to protect. So I think it's worth spending that a little bit extra just to have a little bit more peace of mind and understanding of what's happening in the tank.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I guess what I was asking, sorry, with the ICP was when you get that back, and obviously I know it's going to give you results on other elements, other parameters. What do you look at? What do you sort of look straight for? What do you?
I just work down the list. I'll just literally start at the top, work down. Is everything in the right ranges? If they are, happy. Yeah. If they're not, where is it? Is it high? Is it low?
Okay.
And I'll just work my way down it, and then I will try and discuss it with somebody that I might consider to have let them know. So Christian, I think I've maybe sent you one in the past and said, "What's your thoughts on this?" Just to have someone else cast their eye over it, and is there anything that stands out where you go, you might want to address that, because I've not got tons of experience myself. So it's nice to have somebody who's got the knowledge and understanding, have a little look and give me their opinion on it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And you use the Fauna one, don't you? Faye, you got me on that one as well, which I think
really
so
good. I did use the Modern Reef one. I did the Modern Reef and the Fauna one last time. I did them at the same time, and the results were virtually identical. So yeah, the Fauna one and the Modern Reef one for me is they're both the same. So I'm not overly concerned that one's more accurate than the other, let's say. But historically, I've used the Fauna one majority of the time.
Right. Okay. Rob, ICPs.
Yeah, well, I did 8 on the bounce every month religiously, and that's when I got into like the trace element dosing, and I rank what I look at basically how they come in on the ICP really. So I put more weight or more concern into those elements at the top, like the salinity, easily measured things, and then I don't pay less attention to them, but I'm less concerned about the results of the trace elements, because loads of time, well, for the whole 8 months I did, there was a consistency of 12 of those trace elements are LODs, but I know that I'm dosing them. So in the end, I thought I don't know why I'm doing them monthly, really, because all the elements at the top were fine and they were all, pretty where I wanted them to be. And I started looking into the traces, and I'm happy with just dosing some, so I know the sum in the tank. I just think I've not had a conversation with someone really who can, if I throw a trace element at them, they can tell me the biological process that's being used in the coral to any degree of a lot of them. Maybe there's a couple, but a lot of them people just go, oh, it brings the blues out or makes the polyps look better, or I just think, that's not enough for me to really dig into it and want to dose individual trace elements out of a bottle and bring them up to bang on levels. I'm happy with just a shotgun approach. So yeah, so like I say, I look at my ICP, I want to know the salinity is on point. I want to know, the major and macro elements are kind of decent, and then the traces, I'm just like, meh, they're going in. I'm not going to sweat about it.
There's so much else to get right before you start looking at traces, and so many
exactly.
are going to give you a massive improvement or like state of your corals. Really, you're talking at like the 95th percentile.
Well, it's that classic. It's the diminishing returns thing, isn't it? You know, you'll get 95% there and your tank will look great. There may be 1 or 2 corals which are a little bit sulky, and maybe you've got to invest a lot to bring that, like that last few percent to where you want it to be. And most people probably
if in doubt, still water change.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad. What are you going to do? Water change.
Water change.
So just water change.
Yeah,
which is what every single company recommends anyway. Even if you do the Triton thing and you got refuge, you know, if they go out of whack, they always go do a 30% water change, don't they? Bring it all back and then start the process again. So
I think a lot of people chase better colours in their corals or become obsessed with trace elements.
Yeah, too far. It's like up and down. What we want is stability, right?
Yeah.
You play mad scientist every time you get an ICP. We've probably all done it when we start getting into ICPs. Honestly, you're going to get better results. Just let the corals, right? Be used to what they're used to and what used to what they're getting.
Yeah.
Water change it. If in doubt, water change. Don't spend a fortune on trash elements.
The farm then, how often do you send ICP off?
I do it once a month.
Once a month,
Once a month. But I don't like
on,
really just
on every tank?
No, just like the SPS, really, once a month. All I'm looking for is contaminants, really, because we've got a lot of magnets on all the ponds. So, you know, obviously I visually inspect those every week, but, you know, if one gets past me, the magnets are what I'm most scared of because they do a lot of damage, especially those neodymium ones when they start going. So I just do an ICP just to check that, you know, there's no pollutants in there, or heavy metals, unwanted heavy metals. You know, and sometimes I might correct things. I might tweak my daily dose on some of the trace elements. Do I need to? No. Do I? Yeah, because I'm signature fresh. But does everything else need to? Probably not. Yeah.
Is there anything that you not sound like we're contradicting ourselves? Is there anything that you would advise people did dose to their tank, as long as on top of the normal sort of 2-part bowling or whatever method you're using?
I mean, look, like if you look at a Reef Moonshine, he's got a list of daily trace elements you can add. I think one that's really going to benefit you, and it's very hard to overdose, is kind of like manganese. That'll benefit you. I've always dosed a drop of Lugol's every day.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Iodine.
So, iodine, Lugol's iodine solution. But I dose a lot more, but I think you can get by on those. If you just get those, you know, your tank's going to be there or thereabouts. Putting a bit of allergen.
I feed my 2 sheets of nori always keeps my iodine levels up nicely. I've always had nori, sheets of nori. Yeah, it's got quite high iodine content. Yeah, and 2 sheets of that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so
iodine's always.
Look for that on the ICP.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what it comes back at. Right, jump into people who've given us a vote on that. Right, so the majority on the ICP is coming at the majority of people every 6 months. 42% every 6 months. 28%, well, monthly. So monthly every 2 months, 28%. Yeah, so thanks to 70 of you that voted. Okay, right then. I was doing mine. Well, I went through a bit
every 3 minutes.
I was doing every 3 minutes. I was not. Silicates, barium, the issues I had with barium. What else did I have issues?
I think at one point you was keeping a lot of companies going, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, I've got shares in a lot of companies at one point. So I've stopped it. And to be fair, I'm not copying what you're saying, but I've literally just gone down to, I'm going to stop pouring all these things in the tank and just do my weekly water change.
And look what your tank's done in the month since we last saw it. It's not pissing about with it.
Yeah.
Just let it do its own thing. I've not got a million bottles going drip.
It needs to be here. What's going to go wrong? Keep going, Christian.
Keep going. It's looking lovely. It's growing a tree. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate things.
It is hard to get. Once you become obsessed on one thing that's wrong, it's hard to get away from that, man. It is hard to get that out of your head.
Yeah, it does. You go to bed and you're like, oh, my such and such is.
But it's probably experience.
Rabbit hole reefing, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It does do it to you.
Well, that's the thing. That's instability. I'm constantly chasing this one thing. That's instability. If it's never there and it's not missing it, and the calls are doing all right, well, that's stability. If it hasn't got it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Tim. For example, Tim chasing that Malibu bottle last night, and look how he.
Did he chase it or did you push it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the definitely.
Oh, drippy! Oh, drippy! He's going to be like that on the sofa all day, bless him. Was that drippy?
We'll have to FaceTime him later.
Yes.
Right. Anything that you, Josh, because you got me onto the forum, obviously with the ICP, is there anything over your time in the hobby that you were focusing on that you kind of would say from a parameter that you don't look at as much anymore? Any of the minor traces that you used to chase or look at?
I've never gone down the route of actually looking at minor traces and gone, what do I? Iodine is one that I will, if it's low on the ITP, I'll make sure that I get it back to where it needs to be. But in terms of things, it's always just the major elements, the three major elements. Magnesium, I'm not as concerned about at the minute because it doesn't ever seem to move around very much, so it doesn't really bother me too much. But I've only ever really focused on the big three, on pH, salinity, and getting the temperature right, do the basics right. Obviously phosphate and nitrate as well. I think I'm paying more attention to phosphate now than I have done in the past. But yeah, there's never been a time where I've focused on like the metals or halogens or anything like that, and I thought, I need to pay more attention to this. I'm just happy that the trace elements are going in at a good enough rate that they are going to be present and they can be uptaken.
Yeah.
You're
always having it. It's always there.
Yeah.
So our body is pretty good, you know.
Yeah. I think what you said I think it was you that said it yesterday. When we were having the meet about the water changes, it is linked to obviously what we're talking about here, but you were basically describing it as, I don't want to go into too graphic detail, you described it as, was it bathing and peeing and everything in the same sort of,
you live in your bath, you eat, you drink, you poo and you wee in your bath, and you only change 10% of water a week. It's going to be pretty rancid, right? So I always think of it like you live in the bath, So those water changes, I think it's a good way.
It makes sense, doesn't it? When you think
it rationalises it, right?
It does. Yeah. Obviously, putting in food and fish and weeing and pooing and everything else, and if you're not doing the water changes, then it is gonna, it's not gonna put a very, very nice environment. I don't think, anyway. I think it's a good analogy, anyway.
And the other thing is, I think that lends into is cleaning your sandbed, right? Because all the gunk accumulates at the bottom, so there's no point just putting the water out the top. Clean your sandbed.
Yeah. God, you know what? My entire water change is doing. It's just sucking the sandbed constantly for 40 litres, and then that's it. That's how the water change is done. Yeah,
I double back mine.
Honestly, If you clean your sandbed, you're going to have better results than tinkering with your trace elements. I tell you now, you can get better gains than making sure you've got no crap deteriorating.
I've got to clean my sandbed.
There you go.
Yeah. Takes some getting used to, bare bottom tank. But
Rob, are you going to get the Trident MP then when it comes out?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to lie to myself and go no, but I'll probably buy it. I don't know. I'm struggling with the cost of it for what it does.
What's it looking like it's going to be? Do we know?
I think it's the same price as the Trident. So what's that? 750 quid or 800 quid, whatever they are.
Right. Okay.
It only tests two things, which are very cheap to test manually and very easy to test manually. I don't know. It just seems a bit. I was honestly, I was expecting it to sort of come in under. Yeah, and they're not available yet, are they? So
I think they are.
Well, Rama's calling you out here, just saying you work for Apex, so you'll probably get one gifted.
Yeah, some chance.
If you're lucky, mate. If you're lucky, I think I will. Yeah. I think I'll definitely give it a go. Yeah. Oh, what have we got here? Sorry, questions. Liam's asking, would you advise, if possible, bare bottom tank if you focus on SPS?
A bit heavier.
Yeah.
I guess that's for me.
Yeah.
I would think once you get past that maturation stage, you've got a healthy, mature tank. Certainly, I think that bare bottom tank's going to help you because it's easier to get all the waste out, all the decaying organics, right? Which I think is crucial. Yes. So yeah, I'd say so, Liam. But I think a lot of kind of newer people to the hobby are going to struggle to get to that maturity point without the sand. So I'd probably recommend like starting your tank if it's not with live rock, at least put Ocean Direct. That's a really good sand. So so it's a Crib C. So that they scoop that up from the sandbed and put it in the back, basically. Wow. So you're getting the natural Ocean Direct.
Ocean Direct.
Yeah. So I believe, they scoop it up in situ and put it in the bag, right? Whereas the other ones that sell, they're actually adding like a bioclarifier and different kinds of of bacteria to it.
Right. Okay.
Biome. So for me, I believe that Ocean Direct's probably the most natural, fuller mix, if you like, of bacteria and all these like microbiologies. So I think if you're going to use dry rock, use that sand at least for 6 months, get your system mature, and then look at removing it slowly but surely. And if you were to remove sand from a system, I'd recommend you do it over about, say, 12 water changes, gradually, a little bit every water change. Yeah, but I think that can help kind of boost your system at the beginning, and then if you want to have the benefits of keeping that bare bottom, right? Yeah, get it removed, right?
So on my tank, I plumbed in a satellite tank, and I put the live sand in the satellite tank. It's obviously connected to the main tank, and it's still in there. Because I used all dry rock for the main display, and I mean, touch wood, it all went. I didn't have any nasties, any dinos, cyano. I didn't have anything, and I put a lot of that down to the fact that all that bacteria went in initially with that bag of live sand.
What an idea!
Yeah,
how cool's that?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
He just but he's retired though. That's what happens when you're retired. You don't have, you've got all this time on your hands. Most people don't. Most people work for a living, Rob.
I do actually work. I do work.
When
I don't do a lot, I admit, yeah, but I do work.
Liam said he's swapping out because he's changing his tank. Do I remove the sand bed and stay with the bare bottom? Now I've got any sand. I haven't got any sand soft sifters. Sorry, Russ. Yeah, thanks to Bruce.
I don't know if Bruce is sweeping up that sand every day and turning it over.
Yeah.
I mean, something I never advise is if you're doing like a tank swap and you're putting your mature rock from your existing system into a new system, I would say don't put old sand into a new system because it's going to harbour a lot of nasties, and particularly that space underneath or around your rock, where it's really hard to kind of for fish to turn over or get a gravel back in. You know, when you lift that rock, you know that tap's going to cloud up with crap. You don't want to put that in a new tank. So, yeah, I mean, look, you're going to have to be cautious, right, and go steady. But as long as you keep things stable, maybe lean on some bottles of different mixes of bacteria like diversity or something like that. I don't know, just to stop, to have some nitrifying bacteria on hand. Yeah. You know, I'd definitely throw that old sand away. Yeah. I think you can wipe out tanks moving sand.
Have you noticed any different fish behaviour with a bare bottom?
That's a good question. That's probably one for you, Rob.
Yeah,
Mind you, if you probably can't compare though.
I mean, I've got a couple of sand-dwelling wrasse in my bare bottom tank. I've got the Lenardi and Iridis, I think the other one. So for the first year, I gave them just a pot of sand in the tank. And then basically what happened is I noticed that they'd go in there and chuck it out all over the tank and the actual pot would be empty. So in the end, I just went, I just took it out. So now they just sit in a rock and go and sleep in a rock, and I think they're reasonably happy.
Nice.
I mean, I think it'd be difficult if I introduced a new wrasse, which was used to sleeping in a sand bed, and put it in a tank with no sand at all. I think that'd be stressful. So if I did it, I'd probably do the same again. I'd add a pot of sand. I'd give it a year maybe, and just slowly reduce the amount of sand, and then eventually it'll find a place in a rock. But so it can be done.
Yeah, I've done that in my coral base for the wrasse. Put like a little pot of sand, Tupperware sand, and they bed in there. Yeah. How big is your Lenardi, Ross? Rob?
Probably about 8 inches. Quite big.
Their whole headbutt into the glass, because I think
it jumps out the tank.
She does that. Has it?
Yeah, jumped out the tank, hit me in the chest. I mean, they're just a very lively fish. Picked that off the floor, chucked it back in, so it was a bit. But I love them. They're a nice wrasse. They're very lively, aren't they? But they're a bugger for just turning over anything I lay on the bottom chalices, and they just flip them.
Josh, your sand in yours. How often do you clean it? You just do it when you do the water change, I'm assuming, or do you do it? You do it
every single week, everything that's visible gets vacked. So all the way up to the edge of the rock, and between the edge of the glass and the rock, all the way around the 3 sides, all of that is vacked every single week, to the point where there's I usually about 40 litre water change, so it's about 20%. So the sand runs clear. By the time I'm nearly finished, or I'm finished, it's running clear. There's no detritus left.
Yeah. And can you access all of your sand if you're honest? No.
I struggle to get to the stuff that's between the weir box and the back of the scape. There is a space there, but I need to use the smaller of the two vacs I've got to get in there. And there's like old snail shells and stuff that are down there. So it's a bit awkward to get in there. The stuff that's completely underneath it doesn't get touched other than what the cleanup crew can do to it. But yeah, it's the stuff around the front and that I keep, because that's what's visually available. There's not, I'd say there's maybe an inch under the rockscape, if that. There's not tons under there. Obviously, what's under there will be slowly, like Christian was saying, it'll be building up some masties over time. And if I did then shuffle the scape around, it could cause a lot of problems for me, which is why the scape stays in situ, doesn't move anywhere. And I just do the bits around the front that are visible, just they stay nice and clean.
Yeah, I'm having that problem. To be fair, I've got a proper dead spot my back left-hand corner. I just cannot get to it, and if I did, I'd end up doing a lot of damage.
You've got 20 pumps above it.
Yeah. I know. Well, I'm just a bit concerned, but anyway. Rob, Josh, would you go with sand again? Though I know we're off piece today. You would always go with sand.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it looks better. As much as I would find it easier for SPS, I could ramp the flow right up, and you can see now I've got that big big mound of sand there, and then all of this here is completely bare. There's no sand there. That'll be moved in a day, and I'll just shuffle it back again. That's just because the flow is up. It is frustrating, and it does make me think I want to turn the flow down, but if I do that, it's at the detriment of the animals that are in there. So it's just something that I have to suck it and see. Like I said, I put the white along the bottom of the tank, so it doesn't look too bad.
There's a part of me that doesn't mind it though, because you just think my tank is doing its thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a part of me, like, even I've moved to crushed coral, but where I've got the flow up so high, it can move a bit and it leaves a bit of your tank. I just kind of look at it like that's just my tank doing its thing. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really affect. Don't bother me too much.
Yeah, I suppose I could, John. To be fair,
if I hadn't done it, if I hadn't not painted it, but wrapped the bottom of the tank white, I would have been a little bit more concerned, I think. But it looks okay. It looks good. So
yeah,
climbing the walls, mate, with your OCD, definitely.
You what?
I said you'd be climbing the walls with your OCD, buddy.
Big time.
If anybody's got any more questions they want to ask Christian while he sat aside of me this morning, now's the time. So we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. So Liam saying, got a live rock in the sump. Anyway, Rockscape is covered in coralline. So,
yeah, I just want to touch back on this, Liam. Do not put that old sand in your new tank, because you'll end up getting a heterotrophic bloom and it will recycle your water. So please don't use that. I just wanted to come back and say, that's the thing with disturbing that old detritus. All of a sudden, these organics are in the water, and you will get a heterotrophic bloom, right?
Wow.
So that bacterial bloom will reduce the oxygen in the water column. It will create masses of ammonia, right, which is super toxic. So just don't do it. All right. That's the same thing. Whenever you're disturbing sand and it gets into the water, you're risking that. So when you disturb your sand to clean your sand, remove it. Right? You're removing it. Yeah. You're not doing it in such a way that you're going to put it into the water. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Super important. Sorry, I just had to touch on that.
Yeah, no, thanks for that.
It's the coral killer.
Yep. Right. Okay. Marvelous. Yes, Mum. He'll do as he's told us.
Give us a shout, Liam.
Yeah, give us a shout. Okay. Right. What's the best? Oh, here we go. What's the best way to get sick out of Alcantara? Oh dear, he's on about.
You're gonna have to have Liam.
You have to ask Liam that one. He's the balloter. Yes. Okay. Anything of you gents wants to ask Christian while he's here on the live stream? Anything left? Or we're going to wrap up for now. No.
I can think of anything. I might have to drop him a message. I can't think of anything now.
Off the top of my head. No.
Feel free to text. Anyone else, feel free to WhatsApp.
Yes. So
are you still going to Aqua H? Is that still on the cards?
I am going as a guest now. I've decided not to show corals. Reason being because we had that bloom. We bleached the corals about 6 weeks ago. I don't want to move them, and I can't really do the show as I want to do it. So if I'm going to do it, I want to do it well. I don't want to just turn up and make a mess of it. So
I'm just going to have a day out. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to come with you guys. Are you coming up, Rob?
Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah.
So we'll have a bit of a jolly boys outing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Reef, Rondo, can't believe. Oh, bless him. Family's just turned up. No problem, mate. Ron, it'd be great to get you on Sunday morning if you've got the time. Yeah, it'd be nice to know what the Scots can add to the channel. Would appreciate it, mate. So drop me a message, speak to Rob. If you want to come on one Sunday and join me, Rob, and Josh, it'd be great to speak to you. Other than that, when's the show? Aqua H. September the 20th, I think.
20th, yeah, the weekend.
Weekend, yeah. We are all booked in at the hotel. I can't remember what it's called now. But we're having a reef meet, and we're going down on Friday, so we're going to try and make a bit more of a weekend of it, should I say. So I think there's about 10, 12 reefers meeting up on the Friday and staying in the hotel.
Looks like the Villa Bella off on it.
The night before. So
it's going to be carnage again.
It is carnage. That's what we try and do. Carnage. We like a bit
Tim
like
bring this Malibu. So
Tim won't be allowed anywhere near any Malibu. That's fair to say. Well, you going to come all the way down one day from up there to some of these meets? You going to get involved?
Have to at some point, mate. Yeah, definitely.
You need to come down, mate, and join in. It'd be great having you on. But no, thanks ever so much for everybody for joining this Sunday morning. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday. I'm assuming most people have got tomorrow off. You're working tomorrow, Josh? You overtime again?
No, last night shift tonight, and then we're off to the lakes on Wednesday, so I won't be here next Sunday. But hopefully I'll be back again. I don't know. No, the week after that, I think is the Great North Run, so I'll be away again. So,
all right, you miss for a couple of Sundays then.
I will be, unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. No problem. Right, okay. Other than that, then, I will love you and leave you. So thanks for joining us, guys, as always. Thanks, Christian. Looking forward to the update.
Nice to see you guys.
Thanks for Drippy.
Thanks for joining us
here from down there. And yeah, thanks everybody else for tuning in. So, Rob, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday. You too, Josh.
Thank you.
During the week. Thanks for joining. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.